So in this video, I want to go through exactly how you can decrease your abandoned cart rates. A really big problem that I see with a lot of clients that I work with in my paid community, so my Ecom Blueprint program and my Up-Level Mastermind program, is that they have a very high abandoned cart rate. It obviously depends on the product and pricing and the state of the website and a lot of different variables. But the long and the short of it is, the majority of people are getting quite a lot of add to carts, but less of those people, or less than KPI, a bigger proportion of those people, are not going to the checkout and actually fulfilling their order or making a purchase. Now, first and foremost, it's really important to understand that the rate of abandoned cart is actually quite high as a standard, an industry standard. Okay, so typically that sits at around 68%. So of the people that add to cart, only about 32% on average as a KPI will actually go and purchase, will convert. So if you think 7 out of 10 are going to abandon the cart, that might seem like quite a high rate, but that actually is essentially the industry standard, the e-commerce standard for a typically priced product. Of course, once you get above that, I'd say $300 average order value or price point, the conversion rates will actually skew and whatnot. But also you'd anticipate that the actual add to carts would sort of increase or decrease in proportion as well. So that stays true as a pretty good metric that 7 out of 10 are going to abandon your cart. Now, if you have a higher abandoned cart rate than that, then obviously that's something that needs to be worked on, okay? This is all part of the conversion rate optimization process, where basically if we say we're not converting at an optimal rate on site, we need to look at not just the end goal, the end result of we need to convert at 2 to 3% plus. It's like, well, what's actually breaking down the process? Because if people aren't landing on site, it's a traffic issue. If people aren't viewing our content, it's a call to action from our homepage to our product page, or not enough traffic being sent there from ads or other stimulus. If they're not adding to cart, right, at a decent rate, then it's actually, we need to look at why aren't people adding to cart. It could be pricing, it could be risk reverse, it could be shipping, it could be anything there. And then beyond that, we need to look at obviously the product checkout page and then of course the purchase from there, right? So in this case, we're talking about they've added to cart and they're not reaching the actual checkout, all right? So of course, as I mentioned, it's a high percentage of people that don't go from stage 1 to stage 2. But if that's at that 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, or somewhere in between that, then it needs to be fixed. It needs to be looked at. So one of the biggest things one thing you can actually do immediately is, especially if you've got low volumes, is where possible, just contact the customers directly. Okay, this might sound a little bit, maybe above some people with, where they're at with their online business, but if you can literally just get on the phone or email or SMS them because you've got your details there from abandoning their cart or their checkout, then the best way to do it is get on the front foot and actually contact them directly and just start to ask them really objective questions. Hopefully they'll firstly pick up and respond. But if you do get on the phone to them, you just ask them some curious questions like, just saw you abandon your cart, would love to hear about why that was the case, not putting pressure on them or any means. And then of course, if they give you the information, then you want to give them something special, give them a nice little discount, something like that. Oftentimes they'll tell you the truth about their circumstances. It's probably going to be something that you weren't even aware of or even thought of. So you get some really valuable information about how you can mitigate that risk or that chance that someone's going to abandon next time. But speaking to people is probably the most valuable thing you can ever do. And one of my mentors once told me that if you ever have a problem with your business, speak to your customers, speak to your audience. It's the best way to cut straight to the chase rather than like thinking about, they must be thinking this and I must be thinking this, and I must be thinking this. Just actually ask them what they were thinking and you're going to get the direct answer, 100% certainty. So that's the first thing, is actually don't be afraid to do the manual hard work. Never be too big to do little things, I like to say, and contact them directly. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is to do with obviously optimization of site. So you need to make sure that there's enough social proofing there's enough risk reversal. You can offer money back guarantees. You can just show happy customers' faces and actual quotations. You can show how many happy customers you've got, how many products you've made, how long you've been in business. So just really build that authority and trust through other people's content, we like to call it. Basically, other means versus just saying why you're so good. It's better coming from someone else's mouth or quotation or facial expression, for example, as part of user-generated content, than it is directly from the business. It's so much more believable. Okay, so social proofing is huge. automations, you can do basically exit intent pop-ups of like, hey, before you go, or hey, here's an extra 10 or 20% off, whatever it actually might be. You could do other things like the upsell, cross-sells, where they're getting more value for what they're going to do or purchase. Okay, so think about any sort of form of risk reversal during that period of the add to cart to the actual purchase conversion, and we try and plug as many holes as we possibly can. Beyond that, I would be looking at certainly automations. So of course we need to have abandoned checkout, abandoned cart email flows going, where again we're reversing the risk, we're reinforcing the offer, we're reinforcing the last chance, here's an extra discount. So we want to really again plug the holes in the bucket. Okay, we can also use abandoned cart SMSs. That's a really powerful way, just really short, sharp. Here's the link back to your cart, go and purchase again. Here's another discount if that's necessary in the second or third message, for example. That's from an email perspective. Then you can obviously use retargeting ads on Meta, going across platforms. We just want to keep circumventing, keep reminding them. And it gets to a point sometimes, if they did actually want the product, again, there's legitimate reasons that they abandon cart or abandon checkout, and genuinely do forget to come back and purchase. So if we can just be there at the right time with the right communication, we almost, in no uncertain terms, like wear them down. I've had that personal experience as a customer. I'm like, all right, cool. I actually tried. I've been meaning to purchase it. I hadn't had the motivation to do so. And here it is. So I'll go ahead and purchase. So again, we just want to be in the right place at the right time. Okay, so that's kind of like from an immediate automation. We talked about, on site, what we can do. Obviously, follow up in terms of in person, actually calling them, texting them, emailing. We can obviously do automations in the sense of exit intents, pop-ups. We can do email flows. We can do SMS flows. We can do retargeting ads. And then it kind of gets to the longer tail, the longer term things of increasing that conversion. And that can be in the form of, say, special offers and special campaigns that we do periodically. And again, like I mentioned before, it can be a lot about timing for people. So if you're offering something bi-monthly, like twice per month, and it might be on a different product, it might be on a different collection, it might be themed, like Black Friday to Christmas to New Year, like whatever it might be, just creating excuses, creating reasons to get in front of people and create offers is really important. Because again, they could have missed the last 5, like believe it or not, they could have missed the last 5, or it just wasn't the right time for them. And they see the 6th and they're ready to go, right? And you recover their cart. So there's various forms of follow-up that we can do. And obviously we've paid to acquire them in some way, shape or form, that it would be a shame or a waste of money to actually lose that opportunity. So we need to continue to market to them, continue to beat the drum, continue to reinforce the message and the trust and legitimacy and the social proofing and every brick that needs to be stacked to give them confidence in you. And something we've been speaking about recently within our community, certainly like money back guarantees. If that's the straw that breaks the camel's back, just throw that in. You have to back yourself and trust yourself that your products, your service is far superior, that they will be so happy with their purchase from you that if they're not, you'll give their money back, and that's okay too. Okay, so there's all sorts of things that we can do, but I want you to think, and the point of this video is to, how can we basically grab the bird that's in the hand? Not necessarily the two that's in the bush. Always going after people, new people is always going to be a priority, but how can we actually utilize what we've already got and with the resources that we have? So again, there's website optimizations, there's manual efforts, there's automations as well. There's various things that we can actually do. And again, if we get those things right, then we're in much better stead. We're going to increase those conversion rates on the back end, but also we're going to reduce the abandoned cart rates, especially if it's higher than that 68%, as I mentioned right at the beginning of this video. So look, I just want to share that with you. Hopefully it creates some insights into where you can plug some holes within your checkout process, your business. We're always doing these things within our side my community. So when I have these thought bubbles, I want to share them with this channel. So hopefully that was valuable to you. If it was, I'd love a like, love a subscribe, and creating videos like this all the time. If you want to know more about what we do, how we help e-commerce businesses, you can click on the link below and check that out. But other than that, I really appreciate you being here, watching till the end, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.